The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's David Newman, and I'm here with the awesome and amazing Jason Medberry.
Excellent. Thanks for having me.
Well, this is a long overdue thing. We need to get people squared away on the good, the bad, and the ugly of speaker video. The ins and the outs,
Yep.
the highs and the lows, the smart and the
Hope,
crazy. What else can I say?
hope, hopefully more highs than lows.
Yes. Well, you will certainly make sure of that. So, as folks are coming in here, just want to make sure that you have some good sound and good video. Can you see our title slide here with Jason's smiling face, my smiling face? Is the audio coming across? Just feel free to type yes in the question box if you can see and hear everything to your satisfaction.
How do I sound? Do I sound good? Can people hear me?
We'll do a David check. We'll do a Jason check.
Okay.
So we'll see what the questions are coming in here. Doug says this is going to be so hot. And
Ooh.
Carl's coming in from Exton. Michael Moore says good. Virginia says yes. And Steve and Sue and Steve and Kalen's here. Good to see you, buddy. And Tim Smith says yes. Wendy says yes to both sound and video. Jeff says clear on both. I don't know, Jason, I'm getting nervous. This is like working too well.
I know. Is this supposed to happen? Is it always supposed to work immediately?
I don't think so. Chris DeFonso says audio is good. Steve Peacock says yes to both. Laura Shortridge, great to see you. Everything looks and sounds good. I say we call it a day. I mean, if people say it all looks and sounds good, I'm in. I think the webinar is over. Okay, thanks, everybody.
Great. Thanks for coming.
Because, it can only go downhill from here. Am I right?
Absolutely.
I mean, it's not going to get better at this point. It's, the tech is going to break or my microphone's going to fall off the desk or something crazy is going to happen.
Yeah, the best webinars are the ones that peak before they start.
We're doing it. We're on it. This is so us. This is totally fantastic.
All right.
So I still have a 1 minute before the top of the hour.
Okay.
And, so I'll do a little bit of a tee up here, and I'm going to turn it over to Jason, and I'll share a little bit more about this as we get started. But Jason and I are running our Speaker Video Summit, and you'll learn more about that. And Jason is just a super seasoned video producer and director, and specifically around working with thought leaders, experts, coaches, consultants, speaking-driven professionals, and he's going to share a little bit today about what he shares with our Speaker Video Summit people to give you guys a little bit of a taste, strategy, tactics, tools, what a speaker video is supposed to do for you, how it's supposed to be put together, the difference between a speaker video demo and a speaker video primer, and all kinds of cool things. I just want to whet people's appetite as they're sitting there. They're getting their coffee, they're getting their beverages together, all that.
Excellent.
And we're going to have a massive Q&A at the end, like we always do. So hang around for that. And I'll be able to answer some questions. Jason obviously is going to be answering some questions. And we're good. So Laura says, you two are crack ups. Looking forward to this. And Jason, little does Laura know exactly how crazy we get. And Carl says, are there any handouts with the webinar? And Carl, there's nothing before the webinar, but we are going to give you some resources and some goodies towards the end. So there are going to be some souvenirs, but there's no handouts. Just grab a pen, grab a pad, get ready to take some notes. And I say we're ready to start. So Jason, if you're ready, why don't I kick us off? Would that be all right?
That sounds great. Let's get started.
Fantastic. Yes, and Jeff Grieg, you're absolutely right. There will be swag. There will be swag involved here. All right. Well, welcome everybody. This is in fact the Speaker Video Training Masterclass, How to Use Video to Grow Your Business. And you are in the right place. If you're a speaker who wants to grow your platform, you are perhaps a consultant or a coach who wants to win more stages and get more clients. You're an expert with something to say or something to sell, or perhaps you're an executive and you want to build your personal brand and elevate your authority as a professional who speaks. So either way, here's some ground rules and some basic principles before I hand this over to Jason. Speaking is the new marketing. And what we're going to help you do today is apply some of the insider strategies, tactics, and tools specifically around video that highly paid professional speakers use to executives and entrepreneurs who want to maximize their influence and impact. Either as a speaker, as an author, as a consultant, as a thought leader, video is a critical piece of this. We're living in an economy right now, which is both a huge opportunity and a huge gap if you don't have this dialed in, where your personal brand is actually more important than your company brand. And this is going to help you move from being a leader in your niche, in your industry, in your topic, to being a true thought leader in your niche and in your industry and in your topic. So why every speaker needs video, let me take this opportunity to turn things over to Jason Medberry, my co-producer and partner in crime in the Speaker Video Summit, seasoned video production and video direction for thought leading professionals, co-owner, co-founder, co-partner of TMB Creative based in Los Angeles, California. Jason, take it away from here, my friend.
Excellent. Thank you very much, David. So yeah, just to give you a quick insight on me, my name is Jason Medberry. I am the president of TMB Creative Inc. And we specialize in all sorts of video, including digital branding and all. Basically, if it's digital, we create it. And we do have a strong emphasis working with speakers, coaches, consultants, service providers, thought leaders, influencers. Basically, if you have something to say and you can help someone else, we're probably going to be able to work with you video-wise. But what we're here to do today is talk about first why every speaker needs video. So the number one thing, as you can see right there, it's the industry standard. If you do not have video, you are not a pro. Everybody needs to be able to see you on video because you are basically the product itself. And also, oh, let me make sure I have control here. Ooh. There we go. Okay. So the industry standard is video. Everyone who is going to book you for a gig, book you for a conference or a meeting, they are going to request video from you. And that's just what it's needed. And because since you are getting up, you are speaking live in front of people, they're going to want to see samples of what you do, the results you provide, things you offer, and how you present. Also, video is the baseline for any advocacy or marketing for you, your products, your services, everything that you put out into the world, you're going to need to have video to go along with it. The days of the PDF one sheet and that's it, and that's all you need, and hope that you could just send that and everything's going to be fine, are gone. Everyone is going to expect to be able to see some sort of video, something where you are performing, doing your magic so they can review it. So if you don't have any video, you can't really qualify yourself as a professional in that field. Also, oh, I keep losing control of my...
I think if you're in the GoToWebinar box, it's not clicking on the slide, so you have to kind of switch between the slide window and the sidebar panel.
Okay. Sounds good. Let me see if I can click on. Oh, there. Oh, it gives me control and then jumps to the next frame. All right. So
crazy stuff starts to happen.
You think I work in technology? You think I'd be able to figure this out? But ultimately, the product is you. And so if you don't have any video, if you don't have anything that's not advocating for you while you are somewhere else, you need to have that. You need to be able to send people to something. You need to be able to have things that people can find on their own. All of those videos need to be out there so that they can promote you and advocate the excellence that you provide, so that you don't constantly have to just chase people down or, send things through email and all that good stuff. So that's why pretty much every speaker, if you are considering yourself as a professional, you need to have video. There needs to be video representation of you and what you do. So, come on, slide. There we go. Or not. These slides are okay. So here is the first sort of thing that I always try to make clear to everybody, which is your video is not for you. This is the first thing that a lot of people get wrong when they are creating videos, especially speakers, because your video might be about you, your video might concern you, but your video is not for you. Your video is for the HR director that's hiring the speaker for the conference, the event coordinator, the speaker bureau, the CEO or executive that's bringing someone in to solve a problem. They are the ones who are watching these videos and making the decision to follow that call to action, whatever it may be, and bring you on to do your work. The reason I want to emphasize this right in the beginning is because this is the first place where people who are not experienced making video for their own personal brand, this is where they make the first mistake, because they start thinking about it as, you know, like home video. Like everybody's got a digital camera in their pocket or sitting on their desk in front of them right now in the shape of their phone that shoots incredible, probably 1080 high definition video, relatively decent sound. And because everyone basically is a film producer in their pocket, they think that the understanding of video is just, oh, well, you know, you just shoot it. And if it looks good, then, you know, we're fine. Well, that's fine if you're shooting videos and stuff for your friends, your family and whatnot. But this is about creating video that is going to get you booked, that is going to get people to say, hey, this person seems like they can solve the problem that we have, so let's give them a call. And in order to identify what it is you need to do in your video, I follow what's called the hierarchy of mind. So let's see if I can get this one to switch over. Come on. There we go. Okay, so I call this the hierarchy of mind instead of priorities, because usually when I say priorities, people confuse this and say, oh, this is the order that my video needs to go in. I need to have a clip of this, I need to have a clip of that, I need to show this thing and then that thing in this particular order in order for people to be interested in what I do. That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm talking about here is a mindset. It's basically a series of things you should run. Every question, every concern, every thought you have about your video should fall in this line of thinking so that you can make the best choices that will get you a video that will actually get you the result that you want. So let's see if I can. All right, so at the top of the hierarchy of mind is results. That's what people need. That's what people want. If someone is bringing in a pro speaker, a coach, a consultant, a thought leader, they have a problem, they have an issue, they have something that needs to be resolved. And that is what you need to put as the number one most important thing you're thinking about when you are creating your video. And let's see. I have lost control of the slide again. David, can you click up? There we go. Yep. All right. So the next thing is the client. The client is the second thing you need to consider. As I said before, your video is not for you. It is for the person who has the problem. So you're going to address the problem, talk about the results you're going to give, and then you're going to step into the shoes of the client. What are they thinking? What are they asking? What are the issues that they're dealing with? How do they like to be approached? How do they like to look at the specific speaker who's coming in, or the coach, consultant, whatever? You have to go, you know, shut off what your opinion is of what you think, you know, you would like to see, or how you would like to deliver your message. How would the client actually like to see the message, and how would they like to see it delivered? That is usually the next step that you have to follow, because you've dealt with the results. Now you're considering the client. So next is the product. The product is what you actually do. So if you're a speaker, you know, this is where you talk about the topics you speak on, the problems you solve, the types of clients you work with. This is the product that you are essentially pitching to them. And it's all based on the results and the perspective of the client. And this is why this product works for them. This is why what you need or this is why what they need is what you have to offer. The next thing to think about is clarity and congruence. So what I mean by that, clarity is very simple. Is it clear? Is it very clear in your video that you are a speaker, that you are a coach, that you are a consultant? If it's buried, if that messaging is hidden, you need to make sure that that is in there and that it aligns with your results, what your client is thinking, the product that you're actually offering. Congruence is, let's say you are a super high performance speaker. You're running around the stage. You're really loud. You're exciting. You want to make sure that that thematically fits with your video. If you're not, if you're someone who is a little bit more reserved, a little bit more, don't even know how to describe it. Someone reserved, sorry, a little bit more direct, maybe not as energetic, then your video thematically should represent that as well. You also shouldn't have a bunch of like random elements, random visuals, things that don't actually have to do with what it is that you are providing as a result for that particular client and for the product that you are offering. The next one is quality. So we already have dealt with results, what the client thinks, the product. Is it clear? Now we can start getting into, well, what's the quality of the video like? The reason I put quality so low on this hierarchy is because there are people booking gigs with cell phone videos. I don't recommend that, but because their message is so strong, their results are very clear, they're coming from the perspective of the client, they have a very clear, direct product, everything's in congruence, they can still land a sale, land a gig, land a speaking engagement off of a relatively low quality video. Now, I don't recommend making low quality videos, but if that's kind of your only option, if you're still following this hierarchy of mind, you will still be able to hopefully get that call to action or that, or at least that interest from a prospective person if you're following this type of mindset. So quality, this is where you're talking about, oh, does it sound good? Does it look good? Is it lit well? Just the sort of generic, quality attributes to any video. The final thing you should think about is you. Oh, my hair looks weird. Oh, there's a shadow on my face. Oh, there's a this, there's a that. All the little, I don't want to say petty, but I will say petty things that people talk about when they look at a video of themselves and go, oh, these are things that you notice, but no one else in the world would notice. Oh, my collar's a little weird, or I didn't like the shirt I wore in that shot, or stuff like that. That is the least important stuff because that's the thing that people are going to notice the least and that are going to stick out the most for you. So here's what a normal person does when they do video. They first look at themselves and they go, oh, how do I look? How do I sound? Do I look good in that shot? Oh, the camera's too low. I have a double chin. Oh, the camera's too high. They can see my bald spot. Oh, this and that, da, da, da. And they go through all these little personal preferences first. Then they try to shove the product down the throat. Hey, look how great I am. Look at how nice I look. Look at all this good video I have of me, and this is what I sell. Then they do everything else. So, went back too far. And quality, client, clarity, result, all that's just kind of mixed in. It's not clear what it is that the results they provide. It's not clear that they truly understand the perspective of the client. It's true that they haven't done their research about their audience or anything like that. It's just a big ego video about how amazing they look and what they sell. And these are the types of things that happen when people invest a ton of money into video, get no results, and then they blame the video. They go, well, I spent so-and-so thousands of dollars on a video and it just didn't get me any results. Well, the reason it didn't get you any results is because you concentrated way too much on you and not on the client, the results, the product in their perspective, clarity, congruence, quality, and then you should be the last thing that you consider in your video. So we're going to talk now about some common mistakes, some issues, things that people mess up all the time when it comes to making video, which kind of turns a lot of people off from doing video when in fact they absolutely really need it. The first is poor pre-production choices, and I'll kind of break each one of these down coming up. The second one is no distribution lens, or what I refer to that is the plan. The distribution lens is just sort of a phrase that I use for people when they say, oh, I want to make a video. And I go, okay, great. Where are you going to put it? How are you going to use it? And they go, oh, I don't know. I just think I need a video. Well, it doesn't matter how good their video is. It's not going to get them any results. It's not going to convert for them. And then the final mistake, which is usually the biggest problem, is shiny object or the comparison game. And we'll get into more specifics on that in just a minute.
So Jason, just go back one quick sec, because I know you and
Sure.
I talk about this a lot. Another reason that you might suffer from problem number 2, and Jason, this comes from you. I'm just reiterating it for folks. When you say, I don't know how I'm going to use it, let me see how it turns out. Let me see how the video turns out, and then I'll figure out how to use it after.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's how you know you have no distribution lens, because it's kind of like, well, let's just hire some wedding videographer. Let's have them randomly shoot me doing a program. No thought, no planning, which also backs up into poor pre-production choices. But then your strategy is, let's see how it turns out.
Oh, yeah, that is the absolute worst. In fact, most of the days now, if I am talking to a potential client and I ask them, okay, how are you going to use this video? Like, what are the results you want to get from this video, and how are you going to distribute it? What's your plan? And they go, oh, well, we'll figure it out. I generally will not do a video for them, because the reason why is because what happens is the video I create, ultimately, no matter how good it is, how on point, how much I influence them to follow the correct hierarchy of mine, it still will not get them a result, because they forgot about the most important part of having a video, which is the strategy to get it out there to the world so it can actually do something for you.
Right.
And the days of just putting a video up on YouTube or organic search or people just discovering you, those days are long gone. That ended in the mid 2000s, if not earlier. Nowadays, you have to have a very direct, aggressive action plan of how your video is going to be used, and it needs to be set up before that product is even finished being made. And we'll get more into that when I get a little bit, when we get to that section. So, poor pre-production choices. This is usually one of the biggest mistakes right in the beginning, and that's what David just said. Local videographer instead of a shooter producer. So let me explain some lingo to everybody right now, just in case they don't know. A videographer, if you just see the phrase videographer, is someone who just shoots video. Basically, it's a camera operator. It's a guy or a gal who shows up on the day. They've got a camera, maybe they've got a mic set or something like that. They got a tripod. They show up and then they wait to be told what to do. So, wedding videographers are a little different. They have like a little list of things that they're going to get, because it's a wedding and all weddings pretty much follow the same sort of format. So they know they're going to get this shot and that shot and go in this and follow the bride and then follow the groom and then do all that kind of stuff. But it's a template that they follow, and they just do that over and over again. A shooter producer, if it's a one-man band, if it's just one person showing up, is very different than a videographer. A shooter producer is someone who actually is going to talk to you beforehand, talk about, take you through that hierarchy of mind, even though they may call it something different, but that's something that you should be doing with them. They're going to get an idea of what it is you're trying to make, the audience you're going after. They are now a part of your team to help you make the right decisions. They're going to come up with the right interview questions to ask you. They know, which parts of your speech, if they're recording you doing an event, to use in the final edit. They are invested in the quality of the video, that it serves the result that you're trying to get. So obviously a shooter producer is going to cost a lot more than a videographer is going to cost, because a videographer, you go online, go on Craigslist, find the local guy. Maybe you got a nephew who has a pretty decent camera and is trying to get into the business, something like that. If you hire someone like that, then the responsibility of the quality of the video ultimately is going to fall on your shoulders. That's not what you want. You want a shooter producer. You want someone there who's looking out for you, your brand, your message, while you're up there doing your thing. So the other thing is visuals over content. I get this all the time with people saying, hey, you know what? I want to do this video. I'm a speaker. I talk on leadership, but maybe we can go out to the beach and get shots of me like having a margarita. And then I've got, or me like, walking into a boardroom and doing all sorts of stuff. And they have all these great visuals in their head, but they haven't ran those visuals through the thought process. They're sitting there going, yes, all those visuals are great and they may look fantastic, but does it help with the results? Does it talk about the client? Does the client want to see that kind of stuff? Like if you're someone who's very big on how you look, how you dress, how you, oh, I want to show a shot of me getting out of a Ferrari, something like that. They get really wrapped up in all of these visual elements and they don't think about what it is the client is actually looking for and what problem they're actually going to solve. So they end up having these gorgeous and usually incredibly expensive videos that get them zero results because it's basically just a big old ego play. Finally, this is sort of, the ringer on this is unknown audience. In other words, you haven't done your research. If you're a speaker and you say, okay, who do you speak to? And your answer is, oh, I speak to companies. That's not enough research to create a compelling video. You need to know the types of people you're going after, the types of companies you're going after. You have to have put in a little bit of groundwork and foundational, information to provide to your producer to let them know, okay, this is who I concentrate on. This is, am I a shirt and tie speaker? Am I a t-shirt and jeans speaker? If so, then who do I go and perform to? Like if I want to do a keynote for ConocoPhillips, am I actually, have I looked at some of the past speakers they've hired? Have I looked at how those people look, what their hiring patterns are? Can I even see something like that? If you have not done your research, you're going to make poor pre-production choices about what it is that you need to have in your video. And if you're a speaker who's been around a while and now you want to pivot and start speaking on other things, you also need to do that research. If you were someone who spoke on leadership and now you're going to talk on teamwork or sales or something else, you should probably look into, okay, what are those people hiring? What do they look like? What do they sound like? And then implement that into your pre-production process. And then you need to understand the realities of video production. Some people just don't understand that, yes, there is a pre-production phase, a production phase where we actually shoot the video, and a post-production phase where it's all edited together. Most of the time, if you just hire a videographer, you're going to have nobody there to actually edit it all together. I have so many clients who have come to me saying, well, I shot a bunch of stuff and now I want to throw it together. Well, shooting a bunch of stuff, just a bunch of random things, and then trying to shoehorn it into a video that will hopefully get you a result is not going to work anywhere as well as if you follow the hierarchy of mind, you get a shooter producer, you concentrate on the results, the client, the product, you've researched your audience, and you understand the process of actually making video. Pre-production being all the planning, how you're going to figure it out with your producer, also giving them ideas of how you want the edit to look, things like that. The actual production where they're filming you and getting all the content, and the post-production, which involves the actual final edit.
And let me also jump in real quick, Jason, because we've got some Speaker Profit Formula clients that have come to our video summit and had some work done. And we also have some Speaker Profit Formula clients and alumni on this call. What you talked about with understand the viewer, in our mentoring program, we call this buyer persona research. In the video world, we transfer that to viewer persona, right? Who's the viewer? Who's the economic buyer that's going to evaluate your video? What are they looking for? What do they need to see? What do they need to hear to increase their level of confidence to write you a check for $7,500, $10,000, $12,000 to come and keynote at their event? So that buyer persona research transfers to viewer persona. Other thing is, key pre-production thing that almost nobody thinks about is your content any good? Who's practicing and rehearsing and fine-tuning the content that you're going to be performing during that video. If you go
Mhm.
in unprepared, just with a string of random sound bites and say, no, just shoot this the way that I would do it during a keynote, that's a recipe for disaster.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Anytime there isn't a plan to the video, there's going to be problems. It's never going to get the optimized result that you are trying to get. If you're trying to, generate leads, or maybe you just need a video to nail just one high paying client, which I've gotten that before, where it's like, hey, I'm pitching to blank pharmaceutical company. I want to do a video specifically tailored to their needs.
Right.
That type of video is going to do way better than, hey, I've got some clips of me at the Rotary Club and I got some clips of me a thing, and then here's me in my living room. Let's throw that together with some titles and I'll do a voiceover and then I'll send it over to them. And you're like, well, okay, we can do that, but it's not going to get you the results that that's something that's far more focused in the pre-production stage is going to get.
Amen.
So I talk about the distribution lens because I think of a strategy for video, for distribution, for it actually going out to the world to do its job and bring you clients and leads and whatnot, as like a lens on a camera. And so when you rotate the focus on a camera, some things come into focus, but also other things go out of focus if you're working with an actual good camera that has a good depth of field. So you need to be focused on how your video is going to be distributed. The thing that David was just talking about, how people say, well, I'll take a look at the collateral and then I'll figure out what to do. You are so far behind success at that point that it's going to take forever for you to catch up. The pros, the people who are booking gigs, who are professionals, who are using video, their distribution is figured out long before that collateral is ever made. And they focus on exactly what it is they're trying to achieve with it and make sure that that video serves that vision. So if a client comes to me and says, hey, I'm doing a keynote speech I'd like you to film, and then I want you to do some interviews with me, and then I would like to turn that into I need a full version of my keynote on video, if we can do that, but I want to break it up into bite-sized pieces to use in Facebook advertising or advertising on Instagram and things like that. Well, then, yes, I now know, okay, some of this stuff is going to be cut up for Facebook. Some of this stuff is going to be cut up for Instagram. There's technical allocations that they have already answered for me, so I already know how to shoot it better for those platforms. And I know, okay, so we're using this one keynote to do a series of other things. So we should have multiple cameras there. We should have multiple options. We should be shooting with them a little bit more centered and framed, because the actual frame size of video on Instagram is different than on Facebook. There's so many different things to consider that if you do not have how you're going to distribute the video laid out, the producer is not going to be able to help you really maximize the result of that video. So the other thing is, how does it go out? Technically, marketing, action plan. If it's one of these things to where you have, okay, I want to have a video made and I need it specifically for this one person, for this one gig I'm trying to book because, they hire the same speaker every year or something along those lines, then that's a very different technically produced, marketed, and shown video than it is something that says, okay, this is for kind of everybody. It's going to be the header of my website so people can get a general idea about what I speak about and my products and all that kind of stuff. That's a very different video, technically, marketing wise, and how it's going to be, actionable for results. That you need to have that information down ahead of time. Because if you go to your producer and just say, oh, I just need a video, and there's none of this stuff is laid out, that video is never going to be able to accomplish what it needs to accomplish in each one of those different technical and marketing items. The final part is waiting. So there is a wonderful thing in video production called post-production. This is when, after everything is shot, you send it off to the editor. The editor is now putting it together, and it takes, so many days or weeks for them to create the final product. This is the most valuable time for a speaker, coach, consultant to get all of their ducks in a row and actually start I mean, basically they load the gun except for one bullet. When that video comes, when it's finalized, it gets loaded, pull the trigger and fire. Every client that I have had who has already had all of this stuff laid out, ready to go, and then just injects the video in where it needs to go, has always gotten results. Anyone who I've created a video for where I send them the video and then 9, 10, 12 weeks later, I happen to see it somewhere, maybe in the Facebook group or online or in an ad, they're not getting anywhere the level of results. And it has nothing to do with the timing. It has to do with the energy and the mindset behind how this video is going out. So you should not be waiting. Like David said earlier, you know, you shouldn't say, oh, well, let's wait and see how it turns out, and then I'll figure out how to use it. If you're thinking in that format, you're thinking like an amateur, and you're not going to get the results you need in order to have the video book you or get you to a place where you can start booking things. The final problems that I want everyone to be aware of is the shiny object or the comparison game. So one of the, just as good as it is to have that time during post-production to figure out your marketing, it's also a really bad time, because what people will do is they'll go, okay, well, I shot my video, you know, I did, you know, he's, you know, the editor's working on it right now. I've got an idea of how I'm going to send all these videos out, how I'm going to market them. Let's jump on YouTube and see what everyone else is doing. So they go on YouTube and they start looking at, oh, other speakers, other things, all sorts of stuff. And they start going, oh, well, I wish I would have done that. Or, oh, I liked how they used animations here. Or, oh, meanwhile, your editor is already deep in the edit of your thing based on what you told them to do. And suddenly you start sending them emails going, hey, so-and-so uses this. Can we try something like that? Oh, so-and-so's doing that. Can we implement something like this? That's going to just completely torpedo your video. Now, you should be aware of what other speakers are doing in your topics if they're going after similar clients that you are, but you should never compare yourself directly to them. You should never say, oh, that person has a horse head logo in their video and that's what they're using for brand. Oh, I should have an animal head logo somewhere, you know, just because I like them and respect them. If you're using the correct hierarchy of mind, you will never have this problem, because you will have already done this research already. There's no need for you to go and start looking around at other people's YouTube videos and other people's stuff after your stuff is already shot. The other one is perfectionism. When I first started in my formative years of creating video, I used to tell clients one of the worst things ever, which was, hey, you know, we'll shoot your video, you know, you send it over and you can make as many changes to the edit as you want. That is one of the worst things you can possibly say when it comes to video. Now, there's actually like a mental issue to this. It's called stress manipulation. When you are reviewing any type of design collateral, so whether it's a video, it's a logo, it's a graphic, a PDF, something that you've had designed, a visual element that is supposed to serve you, if you look at it for more than 3 times to give it adjustments, after that 3rd time, you are telling your brain that something is wrong with it. So now, every time you look at it after that 3rd time, your brain is, instead of going, how do I make this good? Or even better, how do I get this finished? It changes to, what's wrong with this video? And now every time you look at that video, you're going to go, oh, what's wrong? Oh, that shot's a little weird, and that's off center a little bit. And I kind of exhaled weird at that part right there. And you start getting into these tiny little changes because you've trained your brain to say, oh, there is something wrong here every time I look at it, and I need to find it. And that's when you get on what's called the edit treadmill. I've had clients give me over 200 notes on a 1-minute long video. That video did nothing for them. So what happens is you start doing so many edits, so many small little tweaks, that by the time you're finished, you get it to a point where either your editor just quits on you or you just have to get something out. Your video does not look, resemble, or get any of the results that you originally wanted it to create. So I always recommend, forget about perfectionism. Give at most 3 rounds of notes and then get it out there. Let it start working for you, because 99% of the time, the things that you think are bad, no one else is going to notice. And then the final thing is after the fact adjustments. And this comes from waiting. This is that same problem. We keep bringing it up where you're waiting for your video, or your video comes out, you don't have a plan. And instead of actually instituting your video to do some work for you, you start tooling around on YouTube and Vimeo. And suddenly it's like, oh, well, this is really popular now. Or one thing I hear all the time is like, oh, I heard the royalty-free song you used in my video in someone else's video. Should we change that? Should we change the audio? No, no one cares about the music we put in the background. They care about the results, them, the product, all that stuff. And if you're following the hierarchy of mind, you will not run into these issues, and you won't sabotage and torpedo your own video. Okay. Oh, got a repeating on there. So why you should have video on top of just being a speaker, because it can expand your business greatly. Okay. So if you are a coach, consultant, service provider, video is essential as long as you are concentrating your video on individual things. In fact, I'm just going to bring all these up because the last point is one of the most important ones. So I always talk about concentration over cumulative. So what I mean by that is it is way more valuable to have a very short, very direct video about a specific result that you're trying to achieve, or a specific product, or a specific message, or a specific result, than it is to have a big 11, 12-minute long video where you try to tell everyone everything about you, including all your products, all your services, your book, every, news interview you've ever done, where you just try to pile it all in there. And you see this a lot because people say, well, video's expensive. If I'm going to make a video, I need it to cover all of these other bases in not just one, because, hey, I'm paying this big price tag. I might as well, make sure that every piece is covered. That's usually the worst thing you can do, because people have very short attention spans. As we talk about, you're not concentrating on the result anymore. You're now concentrating on you and what you think is important. And people do not want to sit through a 12-minute long video to just find out the one thing that they're interested in. So if you're a coach, you should have a video about coaching. If you're a service provider, you should have a video about the services you provide. If you're an author, you should have one that's about your book. If you have an online program, all that kind of stuff, you should have a specific video about that thing. Keep it short, clear, and to the point. One of the things we talk about at the Speaker Video Summit when it comes to interviews, and it sort of applies to all corporate video, is the 3 C's of good video. And that's clear, concise, and contained. What that means is, are you being clear? In other words, can people understand you? Are you being concise? Are you, you don't need to take 10, 12 sentences to answer something that only takes a few words. And is it contained? In other words, can anyone understand what it is you're talking about, the results you offer, all that kind of stuff, without having to go and look up something else? Like if you have a book you're referencing, or a methodology that you follow, and you say, oh, I follow the blah, blah, blah method of, like, if they don't know what that method is, that means they have to now go and look that up in order to understand what it is you're talking about. You do not want to have any of that in your videos, and especially in interviews. So I always talk about the 3 C's. You got to be clear, you got to be concise, and you got to be contained. And that goes for these videos as well. You can expand your business. You can get more clients, more customers, more people, buying your books and whatnot, if you have very focused, very concentrated video on each one of the things that you offer. So the video is proof that you're awesome. And I'm going to hand this back to David, because I have been talking for way too long. and I'm going to let him jump in and take it on from there.
Fantastic, Jason. Thank you so much. So I also want to go back to a point that you just made about the self-contained video. And we've had people do this, by the way, where they've got one niche or one industry. They will come to us, we'll shoot the video for that industry. And then for a different niche or a different topic or a different market segment, rather than try and cram everything into one video, they actually come back and they make a second distinct video because it is cumulative. You want to have video 1 for market number 1, and you want to have video 2 for market number 2, correct?
Absolutely. That's exactly what they should be doing, because the people who are the clients in market 1 don't care about what the clients in market 2 are in need of. And they're not going to sit through something to see if, oh, does this person actually fit for me? No, they should have a video that is just about their market, so they don't have to waste time listening to some other thing that doesn't apply to them.
Right, exactly. So if you've been watching and you're like, wow, how do I get a video like this? How do I work with Jason? How do I get this going on? And we have something special for you guys. And so I will tell you about that here in a couple of minutes. Then we're going to stick around because we've got a big Q&A session. Any question that you have about speaker video, author video, consultant video, all those things on the slide that Jason just talked about, we are happy to stick around here until we outnumber you and answer every single question that you have so we can help you create some video assets that will really accelerate your business. And video is proof that you're awesome. And let me get more specific about that, because here's what your video does. Your video proves that you're not an amateur, that you're serious about speaking. Like Jason said a few minutes ago, it shows that you're a pro. It elevates you to pro status, whether you've been doing this for a month or a year or 5 years or 15 years. New video, fresh video, current video means that you're a professional in today's marketplace. And frankly, it boosts your chances over others who have old video, scattered video, or no video. So it's truly a competitive asset. You will win more business at higher fees more often and more consistently if you have a video that reflects who you are and what you do right now, today, not from 3 years ago, not from 5 or 10 years ago, and certainly not the kind of mess cobbled together that Jason referred to earlier either. So we're not quite sure why you showed up here today. It could be that you want to elevate your personal and company brand through speaking. And if so, that's fantastic. You want to get more and better speaking engagements, and you see the video as the key to doing that. Or deep down, you know that speaking at a higher level, that's marketed at a higher level, will always get you better clients, bigger impact, and more revenue in your bank account. So we are doing our next Speaker Video Summit, June 10th and 11th. Here's how this is going to work. We're going to help you build your video from the ground up. Jason mentioned the pre, the during, and the post, and we've got everything covered when you come to work with us. We're going to prepare your video building blocks, and this preparation phase starts in April. You're going to get live ammo practice with me and my other partner in crime, Teresa French. So we will help you shape your content, practice your content, make sure that you're doing your highest and best work once the cameras start rolling, and then also prepare and practice that for weeks and weeks prior to you landing at the venue. Detailed performance coaching, and the actual full 2-day video shoot in Burbank, California at the Colony Theater, as we like to say, the beautiful Colony Theater in downtown Burbank, June 10th and June 11th. So here's what you're getting. Looking at everything that you're doing ahead of time to help you design and deliver all of your speaker video segments. The weeks and weeks of 3 rounds of personal coaching via Zoom to rehearse, shoot your practice videos, get feedback from me and Teresa about that, and then the on-site video shoot in a beautiful 350-seat theater setting, 3-camera shoot with amazing lighting, production values, you on a big stage. One thing that we didn't talk about, Jason, that I think is really important is the setting. Because buyers are lazy, busy, and befuddled. When they see a speaker video, the setting in which they see you is the setting in which they set you. So if you're in some little jankety seminar room with bad lighting, they think, oh, well, this is just a seminar speaker, kind of low fee, a couple $1,000s a day. They do seminars. When they see you in a theater, on a big, broad stage with lots of room to walk around and the lights behind you and you doing your thing, they're like, okay, this is a main stage speaker. So
And another thing too.
hiring the video crew, and also Jason, you're a little bit too humble because you said, single shooter producer. You have an amazing staff and an entire team that does this with us in Burbank. Talk about that for a minute. Talk about all of the different folks that are on the crew and how we sort of do a full court press with the whole team.
Absolutely. Now, one of the biggest drawbacks of what I call shooting in the wild. So let's say you shoot, you hire a videographer or a shooter producer to come out and shoot a keynote that you are presenting at a conference or something like that. The one of the biggest drawbacks to that is you don't have any control of how that video is going to get shot. Your videographer may show up, or even if you've hired multiple people, they may show up and the conference may say, oh, well, they all have to stand way back over there. And suddenly you've got terrible angles, you're out of focus, or maybe they put you like on the ground level. So if people are like standing up or walking by, they're blocking the camera. There's all sorts of things. One of the greatest things about Speaker Video Summit is we have total control of this theater. So that means we put our camera operators in the absolute best spots, in spots that you wouldn't get shooting in the wild, spots that it would be very hard to actually put a camera in there so that you look your best, sound your best, and present the best. And that's something you just cannot get if you are, just hire someone to shoot you at the local Rotary Club or whatever it might be. Absolutely. And yes, I have a fantastic crew. We do a 3-camera setup, so all the angles are covered. We've got a dedicated camera guy on each side who's watching out for you. And that's the great thing about, having a team like mine there, because they've done this enough. They understand the situations enough to where, like, if I'm not there, or if David's not there, or Teresa, and you just go to them and say, hey, how is this angle look? How is this? Should I, do these clothes work? Things like that. Am I getting too much shine off the lights? Things like that. They're going to be able to answer those questions and make adjustments that suit you to help you look and sound and present the best. And that's something you just can't get if you're shooting, a conference or something that you've booked.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. So I think this leads into, maybe you've had some video done before, like Jason just said. Maybe it's been in the wild, it's been bad lighting, not optimal, weird angles. We could teach you, we could give you all kinds of information and how to, we could inspire you, we could recommend. You know what we're going to do? We're going to do it for you. So all the implementation and the outcomes that you have before, during, and after, including the post-production, including the editing, including masterfully putting all of these segments together into a flow, done for you, taken care of by professionals who know exactly what they're doing with Speaker Video. We have a relentless focus on results through this entire process. So Jason knows we have the Speaker Video Summit Facebook group. For our prep, we do a lot of live training and feedback and Q&A. You have personal access to me and Teresa and Jason for any email questions you may have. If you do the work under our guidance, you will have a high-converting speaker video, fully edited, packaged, and ready to get you booked. So we talked about the prep. We talked about the personal coaching. We talked about the on-site video shoot in a beautiful setting. The next thing we're adding, and these are all, of course, what you might expect to pay individually. You guys are getting the steal of the century here in a moment. The talking head interview that's going to showcase what you do following Jason's hierarchy of mind. So that same DNA structure is baked in. So if you're a speaker and a coach and a consultant and you have these other things, how to talk about the value and the outcomes that you deliver without making your video sound like this omnibus, disconnected grocery bag of nonsense. It really showcases all of the other things that you do. And we're going to do that. We're going to bake that in when you come to join us in Burbank. So now, if you add up all of these components. Can I add one thing about that? Yeah, please, David, do.
The other thing about an interview is it's really important to recognize that if you are hired for a speaker, you're essentially becoming a brand ambassador for them, regardless of what it is they're bringing you in to solve. So having an interview portion where you are talking to the camera, where they get to see who you are, not just as the speaker on the stage, but as the person that they're going to be working with, is incredibly valuable. Because if, they don't just hire you based on, how great you are on stage, they want to know that you're going to be good to work with, that you have, ideals and mindsets and things that relate and match to what they're trying to do as well. And you cannot beat just a good interview to help sort of smooth that over and convince them to bring you on.
Exactly right. Great, great point. So it brings your personality into the presentation. So on stage, we're seeing the presentation. In the talking head interview, we're seeing the person.
Exactly.
And you get to build that know, like, and trust factor. You get to build a rapport with your viewer who, anytime and every time that someone watches this video, they get to know your professional onstage persona and they get to know you personally. So that's really cool. So obviously, we're not going to be charging you guys $17,494, although I have had clients pay between $15,000 and $20,000, then come to work with us and say, you know what, guys, this product that you and Jason and Teresa put together, the end result is even better than my $15,000 to $20,000 video that I paid way too much money for. So on the website right now, if you went to visit speakervideosummit.com, you would see that the list price and the price that we charge every day for this is $8,500. Because you guys are serious and committed and ready, we're not even going to do that for you. We're going to drop $1,000 right off the top. Everything that we just talked about, the prep, the shoot, the interview, the post-production, everything is $7,500. The place to go for that is speakervideosummit.com, and we have a special coupon code for you. When you go to the Enroll Now button on the Speaker Video Summit website, you can go there, you'll see what it's about, you'll see how it works, you'll see some finished sample videos you can look at, but there's going to be a big Enroll Now button. If you want to enroll now, the coupon code that you must use to claim your $1,000 special webinar savings is webinar. Webinar, WEBINAR, the magic of webinars, just saved you $1,000. Now, we're also going to throw in a couple more things. Bonus number one is on-stage action photos. This is what meeting planners, it's the number one thing they want to see on your website after the video, is they want to see shots of you in action. So you speaking to an audience for your website, for social media, for your speaker kit, you would pay a standalone photographer, and I lowballed this. You might pay $2,500 or $3,000. I lowballed this at $1,497. We're going to throw in the photography as well when you go to speakervideosummit.com and sign up using the code webinar. So going over the list, all the materials review, all the prep, helping you build all your building blocks for on stage, doing the actual shoot on June 10th and 11th, the talking head interview, and the photos. Now we're up to $18,991, and you guys are getting in for $7,500. You guys are getting in for $7,500. For some of you listening, this is one speaking fee. One. If you can close one new deal because someone saw that video and said, oh my gosh, I'm happy to pay you $7,500, $9,500, $10K, $12K, whatever your speaking fee is, worst case scenario, you know what? It's two speaking fees. Even if you're a $4,500 speaker, you get two speaking fees from this video. You're still in the black. It pays for itself after that, week after week, month after month, year after year. Second bonus, and this is really important, all the raw video, every photo, and the master edit file. Not a lot of video producers are willing to give this over to you because they want to kind of keep you in golden handcuffs to keep you coming back. Mm-hmm. What Jason and I do is you get the finished video plus the source footage, every photo, and a master edit file so you can make changes and updates to that video anytime you want. If you're on stage in front of 2,000 people, you've hired another video person to come and shoot that, and that video footage turns out to be awesome. You simply come back, you drop it in, all the source files are there, you recompile it, you save it, you export it, boom, brand new video. This is at least $1,000 additional value, and you get all of this when you go to speakervideosummit.com. Use the coupon code webinar. So the final list is the materials review and prep, helping you design everything from page to stage, personal coaching, rehearsal, feedback on your practice videos, the actual June 10th and 11th event, talking head interview, action photo shoot, all the source and edit files. This is nearly $20,000. And like I said, people have paid $15,000, $18,000, $20,000 to other sources and said, oh my gosh, the video that you guys put together at the Speaker Video Summit, better end product. Better end product. So let's do our Q&A. This offer is active right now. Jason's here. I'm here. We're going to go to the question box. If you have a question about how speaker video is going to work in your business, questions about your content, questions about some of the production, questions about the hierarchy of mind, how that works, questions about the preparation process, questions about being an informed consumer, whether you work with us or work with someone else later on in the future to shoot video, edit video, compile the video that you have, the do's and don'ts, the tips and traps, we're here to answer everything for you until we outnumber you. Feel free to type that into the question box, and we will see who's got the first question, and we'll just kind of pick it up from there. And let me just scroll through here real quick. We're getting some beautiful thank yous. So Linnell, you're welcome. Jess and Tom and Ken and Deanne and Roger, thank you, thank you, thank you. And let me just grab, man, these are flying fast and furious here. If you typed a question earlier, they've been flying by. Feel free to retype the question now that we're into the Q&A, and we will get to it as soon as we can. So Carol, this question for Jason, Carol's asking, how long would these videos typically be? So Jason, you mentioned like the 12 to 13 minute monsters, probably too long.
Yep.
Talk about kind of the range of videos that we create and that you recommend.
So for Speaker Video Summit, the videos tend to be 3 to 5 minutes. If you've got a lot of really good stage content, they'll go a little bit longer. One of the great things is during that preparation, when David and Teresa are working with you, they're going to really help you hone into what are the sort of the best, most poignant moments that you should be doing up on that stage. And then when those things come through our editors, they're going to recognize those things right away and put as much good stuff in there as possible. Should I kind of break down what the primer is, David? Would that?
Yes, let's do that. Because actually, you know what's funny? Susan Robertson has a great question that also ties into the primer concept. And I'm happy to address it after you go through this. But she says, how do meeting planners respond to a video where there's clearly no audience in attendance? So that's not really quite true with these. But I think when Jason explains the primer concept, that'll help answer Susan's question as well. So please go ahead.
So one of the things the way we refer to these videos is as video primers. So it is the foundational elements. It's everything you need to present yourself to a speaker bureau, a HR director, or a potential client. However, it's not going to be completely and totally customized to what you do. That's why we send you all of the original source files. That's why we send you our edit file in Adobe Premiere. That's why we send you all these pieces so that you can then take the video that we cut together and add in your, we send you the original music file as well. So you can go in and add the different pieces that then customize it to you and what you are trying to do. But if you're someone who literally has nothing, you have no video, you have no, anything, no interviews, no testimonials, nothing at all, this can serve as your sort of total package, your promo, until you start gathering up some of those other assets and implementing it. As a professional speaker, you're going to constantly be doing video for your entire career. You're not just going to be able to make one video and then use that for 20 years of experience. You're going to have to update things. You're going to have to add things. You're going to expand your speaking topics. You're going to go to different audiences. You're going to do a lot of different stuff over the course of your time being a pro speaker. So you need to be used to the idea that you're going to have to make changes, adjustments, and additions to a video to help suit whatever audience you're going after. So that's why we call it a primer, and we give you all this stuff at the end so that you can either hire a local editor, you can come back to TMB Creative and we can help you out, but you can then take that video and customize it to just your needs. If there's no audience footage in there, then hey, did you do a speech where there was a nice big audience or has some audience interaction? Go ahead, add those clips in. It's not going to be the be all and end all if you're an experienced speaker, but if it's someone who is brand new, it will definitely be more than enough to convince people of your quality and of your message.
Well, and the beauty of this, I want to address Susan's question here for a minute too. Think of it as flipping it around, because I know, Susan, I think you do have some great video on your website. It might not be current. It might not be 100% in line with where you want to take your business today. So think of it as, let's say that the video you have right now on your website is the primer, and what we shoot for you in LA, that becomes the B-roll, the talking head, the enhancement, the update, etc. So if you already have video, this is a beautiful supplement and complement, and Jason can edit that together as an additional project above and beyond this, or you can go back to your own video person because you're getting all the edit files. But either people start with the primer and then add building blocks as they get new building blocks, or they have video assets. This is something that is designed for other video that you really like and that's really effective for you to be integrated into the primer, or the primer to be integrated into the video, depending on the zen of how you want to look at it. So either this is the new stuff and the latest and greatest, then you add that to the old, or this is the latest and greatest, and then we're going to flash forward and add new stuff if it's better as it comes in. Now, I do also want to address because this is such a great question about no audience. And, as soon as we explain this to our clients, like, oh, that makes a heck of a lot of sense. What meeting planners don't like, and what we refuse to do, is the fake audience. The laugh track, go buy some stock footage of an audience filled with 3,000 people and then show you, in Burbank. It's like, well, that's not going to match. That's not going to work. So we specifically coach you around the kind of content that is going to be audience agnostic. So things like no participation, no, hey, how many people think of this? Or, don't tell a joke that has a massive punchline and the room is filled with silence. So we're going to architect the video around that weakness, so it's not a weakness at all. And as far as the B-roll and the visual of people listening to you, Jason, do you want to talk about camera magic?
Okay. So the other thing we do is, while we're there, it's not just video of you speaking and that's it. We have the interviews. We also do B-roll footage of you on the stage, where we have the other participants in the audience and we're shooting behind them to give some of that audience is watching you, people nodding, people, that kind of stuff. It's all done in silhouette. It's all done from the back. It's all done right up in the front rows. Another thing, it's angles that you would never, ever be able to get at an actual event. If you book a conference and you say, hey, by the way, I've got a camera operator who's going to be walking through the crowd, filming from behind people's heads, they're going to say, no way. But since we control this theater, we can get really artistic, interesting, just, fun shots to add some, just a little bit of personality to your video. And if you want to see some examples of that, if you haven't gone to speakervideosummit.com, I highly recommend going there and watching some of the primers to see, what these effects look like. And, and also to address what do they know if you're not speaking to an actual audience? That is going to be a very low question if your content is very strong. If your content, as I said before, with the hierarchy of mind, is addressing results, addressing their perspective, addressing, how your product serves their needs and their problems, whether you have an audience in your video is going to be very low priority in their questioning. The only time they start asking about that stuff is when maybe your content's a little disjointed, maybe your messaging isn't very clear. So they just want to see, well, is there an audience having a good time while they talk? And then they start leaning on that. if that's what they're asking for, you may want to start looking at, content and if you're delivering the results and things like that they are actually looking for.
Absolutely. Jess has a great question about distribution and the distribution lens. And so the question is, how do you know where to post the video beyond Facebook? And I'm not even sure Facebook is necessarily a great place depending on your strategy. But Jason, what do you recommend as far as where to post the video, just period, Facebook or not?
Well, that's going to come out of your research. So if you know the clients you're trying to go after, the people you're trying to get, then you're going to know if you've researched where they have gone to find speakers, or if maybe you've started an email exchange or you've gone into their Facebook groups or things like that. That's going to cue you in on where this video needs to go. So if you are researching your clients, researching your audience, you're going to start seeing in the places where these people are actually, looking and seeing and seeking out speakers or seeking out answers to what they're trying to do. On top, generally you should always have it on, if you have a web page, you should have it on your web page. If you, have, a Facebook group, if you're doing any coaching or consulting or things like that, you should have videos there. But where you go and where you point your video to actually get work done is going to all be based on your research. And I'm sorry, I forgot the phrase that you referred to it as, David, the buyer persona.
Yeah, the buyer persona and the viewer persona.
Yes. If you've done your research, if you are locked into the buyer and viewer persona on that, that's going to give you the insights of where this video needs to go.
But I will tell you, so yes, that's smart, balanced advice. Totally agree. Some obvious places, Jess, is going to be on your speaking page, on your website. It's going to be as you're in a sales process. You're going to link to it in an email once a client or a prospect has expressed some interest in booking you. If you have a video submission where they say, send us a link of some of your material so we can have an idea of what you're like on stage. Obviously on YouTube, this is going to be either the main featured video on your YouTube channel, or it's going to be the video that you simply link to and refer to people on YouTube. So that's just the very beginnings, right? That's the basics of it. But how you deploy it in the service of a proactive marketing and sales and outreach plan to help you build your speaking business, that's really limited only by your imagination. It is so versatile. It is so powerful that if you are at a certain point in your speaking business and video is the missing piece, this is what you need to fill that gap.
And another thing, just a general good rule, is always make sure you have your videos in a place that are super easily accessible by you or someone else. If someone requests a video and then you're like, oh, I've never uploaded it anywhere, I don't have a link, I don't have this, I don't have that, oh, give me a couple days to figure that out, you're in a bad spot. The moment you have your video, it should go into all those things, just like we were talking about earlier, into, your YouTube channel. If you have a Vimeo or Wixia or whatever you use to put video out, it should be there. You should know exactly where it is and be able to send the link that you need to go to that person immediately. You should never point anyone to a gallery. That's that's a cardinal sin right there. If you say, hey, oh, do you have a video of blah, blah, blah? And you go, yes. Go to this gallery and pick anything you want. It shows that it's just, you're not really paying attention to their needs. You need to send them a specific link to a specific thing that is going to help them and convince them to hire you.
For sure. Absolutely. Pete has a great question, Jason. He says, thanks, guys. What happens if we already have a signature speech and we just want it professionally shot? And I'm guessing what you mean is end to end, although I'm not sure. Is this service appropriate as the planning and prep if the talk is already done? So I'll just chime in real quick, then I'd love, Jason, you to jump in on this. If the talk is already done, that's fantastic. Because what that means is when it comes time to do those excerpts, and our excerpts, by the way, you're preparing 30, 45, and 60-second excerpts that are going to be kind of like the highlights or the greatest hits of that speech. If the speech is already locked in, right, rather than take the whole speech, which, 45 or 60 minutes, and then try and figure out, okay, where do I cut? What do I do? This will let you in that completely controlled environment that Jason just described to you, we're going to get the best of the best, multiple takes. You never get multiple takes in front of a live audience. Sorry. Yeah, wish we could. Often wish we could have multiple takes in front of a live audience, but we will practice it until it's right. And then we shoot it 3 separate times over the course of 2 days. Each and every segment is shot 3 separate times over the course of 2 days, so we can really dial it in. Jason, other thoughts on if the keynote is ready, how can Pete leverage the video that we're going to create for him?
I mean, that's pretty much exactly what you said. We're looking for those key moments, the strongest moments, the moments that make people go, "Oh, that's interesting," or "Oh, I never thought of that." And you'll find those moments in working with David and Teresa. Another thing that I have heard this before, and I have had clients come to me before for this, where they'll say, "Hey, I have a potential client. They want me to come and do a keynote, but they want to hear the whole keynote first before I show up." Sometimes that is required depending on the company, especially if, they're worried about you being a brand representative for whatever reason. So I always recommend, if you can, always have an audio recording of your full keynote, but you don't necessarily need to have a full video version of an entire speech of you going up there. The highlights, the things that we would create in SVS would more than serve that purpose. But occasionally, depending on the client, they may ask for the entire keynote and how you present it. Instead of investing on having someone come and film that, always make sure you have an audio version recorded, just so in case that question comes up, you can very easily and quickly send it back as if it's no problem.
Absolutely right. And I've specifically heard meeting planners and conference producers requesting the audio version. Because think about it. If they're talking to 5 speakers, they don't want to be trapped in front of a computer watching 5 one-hour videos. They're going to download it. They're going to put it on their smartphone. They're going to listen to it in the car. They're just listening for the quality, the continuity, the content, and the presentation, and frankly, the confidence in your voice. So sometimes they need to see an excerpt, but they want a full-length audio. Jason is spot on about that, and I've talked to buyers that have that exact request. So Julie Allen says, can you speak to how we use the testimonials? In the primer, what are the typical points that you want from testimonials? Is there an optimal number, and how short do they need to be? I'm going to throw this to Jason because he's got a great way to coach on the testimonials. And Jason, what's the soundbite on what kind of testimonials we want to get?
Well, basically, we kind of want generic. I don't want to say, you don't want to be too specific in a testimonial. You want to be, a generic sort of a general platitude of what is really, really good about the speaker. Are they engaging? Did they have good points? Did they have good action steps? Is it something that they want to listen to and then turn around and immediately implement with their team after they're done? That's the kind of stuff you want to aim for. What you don't want to have in a testimonial is super specific things about things inside your keynote speech. You don't want to have say, "Oh, and that section on blank was really, really good because I have a this and that." The other thing too is you also don't want testimonials from people who are going to talk more about themselves than you in the actual presentation. Because sometimes, at Speaker Video Summit, you are surrounded by your peers, and we do testimonials from the peers in the room. And so if you have 2 people who talk on leadership, someone may start talking about their perspective on leadership in the testimonial, and you do want to stay away from that kind of stuff. You want to have nice, brief little sound bites, usually 3 or 4, or, depending on how good they are, you can go less than that. But I always like to have 3 or 4. I always like to have a variety of people. You don't want to have everyone look exactly the same. You want to make things feel as authentic as possible, whether they're in suits or street clothes or whatever. And you want to just make sure that they are highlighting sort of the best things about you on a general level, instead of getting way down into the weeds and into like a granular kind of thing.
Absolutely right. And as far as the testimonials that you'll be getting from the audience members that just saw you speak, right? The audience members of other speakers who are the participants in our program, you want to be giving the testimonial that you would want to get.
Exactly.
Right? So think in terms of the testimonial that speaks to the value, the impact, the result, and the outcome. If you were an executive, if you were an HR manager, if you were a conference producer, what would you want the testimonial about you to sound like? And that's the testimonials that we give and get from each other. Let me just go through one or two more questions here, and then we will let you guys go. Ken Brown says, do you have links of good video speakers use, or maybe a link to work that you have created? So yes, that's what's at speakervideosummit.com. So Speaker Video Summit, you'll see 3 primers. We'll probably add a few more actually, but there's 3 full primers end to end that you get to see that we've done. And the reason that we've given you those 3, one is for a fairly new speaker, one is for a mid-career speaker, and one is for a member of our Speakers Hall of Fame. So you can see different levels of expertise and experience and different levels of credibility, and how we showcase that in the interview segments, how we showcase that in the testimonials. And you'll just see that whether you're brand new to speaking or a 25-year seasoned pro like Lindsay Adams, Jason, that's just the video that I'm referring to. You know, Lindsay's video is different than Candace's video because it showcases who they are, what they do, and them at their best. So a brand new speaker at her best is going to be different than a Hall of Fame speaker at his best. So they are tailored and customized in that way. And we're getting some very nice thank yous from Pete and Roger and Ken and all kinds of other folks here. So you're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome. Sue's question says, I'm not clear about the clients, marketing, etc. Is it advisable to do our speaker profit formula training before the video summit? So it's really 2 different things, Sue, and this applies to everybody. They're not dependent on each other, because speaker profit formula is about building your business as a speaker. This is about creating a video marketing asset for your business based around your content. So if your content is dialed in, even if your marketing might not be dialed in, that's what we're helping you with in SPF. If the content is dialed in and you want a beautiful showcase video for the content, you can do this before or during or after SPF, and it doesn't really impact it one way or the other. Jason, what's been your impression of the folks that are SPF graduates versus the folks that are current versus the folks that haven't had it at all? Like Tony Leone hasn't had it at all. Other folks have had it. You know, Adrian Davis wasn't in SPF necessarily. Thoughts about the video quality one way or the other?
Quality wise, I don't think it's dependent on you doing SPF. Definitely if you do SPF beforehand, or you've had some work in SPF, you're going to have a lingo down and a communication with David and Teresa that's going to hopefully speed things up and help you nail your content even better. But I don't think it's absolutely necessary. And quality wise, all the videos are going, everyone's in the same room getting shot with the same cameras, but it's ultimately you and your performance that's going to make these things shine. So if you are working really hard and doing your content work and prep in pre-production, you're going to have a really good quality video, especially if you're taking the notes and do the stuff that David and Teresa are telling you to do.
That's it. I think we have to end on that note. Do what David and Teresa are telling you to do. And when you sign up for the Speaker Video Summit, you're also going to do what Jason Medberry is going to tell you to do, because we're going to make sure that your video turns out awesome. Jason, any closing thoughts, final words of wisdom about any of the teaching that we shared today?
No, I saw a question there where someone asked about if I could just show the hierarchy of mind one more time. Could you possibly throw that up one last time? Yeah, and I'll just quickly race through it so people can
zip right back here. We're going to backwards crazy time machine. Boom, 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 boom. That's very important, you guys. As I just cannot tell you, no one cares about you. No one cares about your product, right? So this is the wrong way that most people do it.
the wrong way, yeah.
And let's bring up the right way. And Jason, you want to give us a quick recap on this one?
Yeah. So of course, the first thing that you should be thinking about is this providing a result? Am I showing the results that I provide? The next thing is the client. Am I taking this from the perspective of the client? Not my perspective of what I think is good or bad or whatever, but the client, the person who is watching this. And am I delivering results to the client that is watching the video and the results that they need? The next thing is the product, which is what you actually do. It's you're a speaker, you're a coach, you're a consultant, you're an author, whatever that is, that should be aligned with the results that you're going to provide through the perspective of what the client is looking for. And here's the product that you provide that answers those two things above. The next thing is clarity and congruence. Are you clear about everything that's above this? Are you clear about the results? Are you clear about the client's perspective? Are you clear about the product that you're offering? And are they all congruent? If you are, high pace, high energy, your video should be high pace, high energy. If your video, if you are adding anything to your video that does not serve the results, the client, and the product, you need to get rid of it because it's just wasting time and it's going to make people click away. The next thing is your quality. The quality of the video is, as you can see, way down towards the bottom. It's still important, but that's just to make sure that you have good sound, that you look good, that kind of stuff. And then the final thing you should consider is you. The petty little things about, maybe that jacket wasn't right. No, there's some shadow there. And, I breathed weird at that part. These are all things that people get so caught up on that they end up trying to make all these sort of aggressive changes to their video because they're obsessed with how they are instead of who the video is for. And remember, the video is not for you. It is about you, or it might concern you. The video is for that potential person whose problem you're going to solve.
Bingo. Home run, my friend. Home run. Well, thank you, everyone. Jason, thank you. It's always a pleasure to share a little stage time with you, my friend.
Thank you very much.
One thing we didn't mention that we really should mention is we have an awful lot of fun at this.
Yes.
We get silly, we get crazy, we get a little bit wackadoodle, and we take the work seriously, and we take your performance on stage seriously, and we take the videos seriously, but we have an awful lot of fun in the process.
Absolutely. And if you're also having fun at the event and you're having fun on stage, that energy, that light is going to show through in your video and it's going to look really great. Adrian Davis is a great example of that. If anyone can see that primer.
Right on. Exactly. And I'm going to pop Adrian's video onto the website just as a fourth example so people can he's another kind of mid-career / advanced speaker, but the energy and exactly what you're saying, Jason, the energy and the fun that he's having, it really shines through. He's a fairly serious guy, but he's just having a blast because it's like a master at work is a master at play.
Absolutely.
So there you go. All right, my friend, we'll talk soon. Thank you, everyone. That coupon code is still active. If you want to pop over to speakervideosummit.com, the coupon code is webinar. We're just going to shave $1,000 right off the top, and we cannot wait to see you in Los Angeles, June 10th and 11th. The prep for that starts in April, so we get you a nice runway to make sure you're successful, polish your material, get your design your speech nuggets so they really shine on stage, get you the video feedback and the critiques, the post-production, the talking head video, the on-stage photography, the master edit file. All those bonuses we talked about are yours when you enroll at speakervideosummit.com. And the magic coupon code, once again, is the word webinar. All right, Jason, thank you, buddy. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.